What manner of man is this, who tires as soon as I? What kind of man is this man that I've seen cry, when his friend faced death, but with his next breath raised him yet alive? What manner of man is this, whom winds and seas obeys? What kind of man is this, who teaches how to pray like we've never known? Go before the throne of the Father on high. He is Jesus, King of creation. He is Jesus, Lord of all nations, bound up in humanness, needing food and sleep and rest, fully man yet holy God. What manner of man is this? What manner of man is this, who stands out from the crowd? What kind of man is this, before whom a father bows, and with sorrowed voice makes the humble choice to beg his daughter's life? What manner of man is this, who makes a blind man see, and frees an outcast soul from his leprosy, takes a laughing stock and then makes him walk just like you and me? He is Jesus, King of creation. He is Jesus, Lord of all nations, bound up in humanness, needing food and sleep and rest, fully man yet holy God. What manner of man is this? What manner of man is this, who stands in Pilate's hall, while screaming crowds insist he die and suffer all? What kind of man is this, suspended between earth and heaven, in blood and agony, so I could be forgiven? What manner of man Who is on the Lord's side? Who will serve the King? Who will be his helpers? Other souls to bring. Who will leave the world's side? Who will face the foe? Who is on the Lord's side? Who for him will go? By thy call of mercy, by thy grace divine, we are on the Lord's side. Savior, we are thine. Jesus, thou hast taught us, not with gold or gem, but with your own lifeblood for thy diadem. With thy blessing filling each who comes to thee. Thou hast made us willing, thou hast made us free. By thy grand redemption, by thy grace divine, we are on the Lord's side. 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 We are thine, we are thine, we are thine. Fierce may be the conflict, strong may be the foe, but the King's own army none can overthrow. Round the standard ranging, victory is secure. For his truth unchanging makes our triumph sure. Joyfully enlisting by thy grace divine, we are on the Lord's side. Savior, we are thine. Who is on the Lord's side? On the Lord's side. Lord's side. and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my face shall be beside the clouds be rolled back as a stroll, the drum shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. There is a fountain filled with blood drawn from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains. The dying thief rejoiced to see that fountain in his day, and there may I, though vile as he, wash all my sins away, wash all my sins away, wash all my sins away, and there may I, though vile as he, wash all my sins away. Dear dying Lamb, thy precious blood shall never lose its power until the ransomed church of God be saved to sin no more. Oh, be saved to sin no more.
All right. Happy Sabbath, everyone. Happy Sabbath. Please, are we on? Happy Sabbath, everyone.
Happy day.
Happy day. You just allowed us to.
Happy day.
Yes, please. The response is refreshing. All right. We want to welcome ourselves to today's leadership training. Please, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So we would like to thank God so much for a blessed day and a blessed Sabbath day. We want to zoom straight into our leadership training this evening since we are 5 minutes late. And so without much ado, I would call on our brother, Dr. Emmanuel Boachev. You are with us. Kindly pray with us as we start.
Okay, let's pray.
Yeah.
Most gracious Father in heaven and Lord that is Sabbath, we thank you this day for this special and wonderful program that you're about to participate. We thank you for the organizers and for the illumination you granted them to think of this program. And so do we thank you for our resource person who is coming to share from the depth of his experience and knowledge gained in his practice with us. Lord, as we begin this 3-day series today, we ask you, Father, to first of all be with our resource person, grant him the energy, the spirit, the health, the intellect, the resources he needs to share with us. If there's any challenge ahead of him as he begins this encounter with us, Lord, may you take care of it and grant him wholeness through these 3 days. And for us as participants, may you give us the willingness to learn, the willingness to practice, the willingness to live by what we are about to start learning today. And may we all be called when the need arises to exemplify Christ and to exemplify what we have learned today in our leadership roles. Be with us, Lord, as we start this seminar on this Holy Sabbath day and see us to the end as we give you the glory and honor for being with us. Thank you so much for an answered prayer. We ask in the name of your dear Son and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you very much, Dr. Boachev, for the opening prayer for us. We would like to welcome ourselves again to this evening's program, the leadership training session we are having for the next 3 weeks, 3 days, sorry. Yes, so I believe some people are joining us for the first time. This is the Alumni Movement for Christ, a body comprising of diverse professional bodies who have a vision to illuminate our professional circles with the gospel and also to support campus ministry. Actually, this is our vision. And we have outlined some nice strategic pillars which guide us in the implementation and realization of this vision and this mission. And so one of our core pillar is leadership and mentorship. And by this pillar, we are holding this leadership training today. Leadership is an ongoing process which needs to be learned and also to become. And through that, we would want to equip ourselves also to mentor others, mentor the younger ones, especially on the campuses as they also take up leadership roles as they come up in their pursuits. And so that is one pillar. We also have the professional development where our goal is each and every member of AMC must aspire to be the higher than the highest in their professional circles. We also have another pillar, which is the workplace and target evangelism. And the goal is to reach the unreached in the society. In this regard, specifically the 3 Ws, the well-educated, the wealthy, and the worldly. And also, we also have sorry for the disruption, please. Yes, so we also have for our fourth pillar what we call special needs, which we are also targeting the marginalized or the neglected in our church and society. We have a goal to also reach them. We also have what we call the seminar and convocation, which we look at how we are going to organize ourselves in excellence and in perfection in the way we conduct our staffs. Then we also have membership drive where we aim to reach to each and every professional in every endeavor and every echelon to join us to move this movement forward, and also to reach to all others who are even not of the fold of Adventism. So these are some of the strategic pillars which we have, and we were incepted in about 2 years ago, and by God's grace, the movement is being built gradually and gradually. And so we would like to invite each and everyone, especially those who have not attained membership of AMC. We are really hitting the ground running. Last month, we reached out to the campuses to have a financial mentorship with them. This was done at UJ, at UCC, and also at Amustek. And through that, we reached out to the members who were there to encourage them. Our goal is that we need to replicate ourselves in leadership through mentoring on the campuses and even in churches and everywhere, such that we can birth leaders who can move God's work forward and also impact our nation, our continent, and the world. And so that is a little bit about AMC we would like to share with those who are not part of us, hoping that after this training session, you would be part of us as we move this vision forward. We trust the Lord will do a lot through AMC. And so we would want to invite each and everyone to join as we move forward the Lord's work in this dimension. And so this is a little bit of introduction about AMC, which we would want participant to be acquainted with. And so we will want to go on to the main agenda for today and our meeting for today. And before we launch into the real presentation, we want to introduce our speaker who will lead us in these 3 days. And by this, I have the privilege to introduce to us Pastor Maswala Sabre, who is well acquainted with our speaker this evening. And so if Pastor Sabre is ready, he will take the platform as he introduces to us our speaker for this leadership training.
All right, thank you so much. Happy Sabbath to everyone.
Happy Sabbath.
I deem it a great pleasure to introduce the speaker. And I would like to say that Prof. Enoch Opoku Entry holds a doctorate in organizational leadership from Indiana Wesleyan University, USA, a master's in organizational leadership from Mount St. Joseph University in the USA, and a bachelor's in educational psychology from my own alma mater, University of Cape Coast, Ghana. He did his ordinary O level at Ghana Senior High School here in Koforidua, and he obtained distinction. An advanced level, A level at Opokuwari Secondary School, Kumasi, Ghana. Prof. Opoku Entry is an award-winning leadership and educational professor, author, consultant, community leader, and civic educationist. He is an expert in 6 areas of education. And let me quickly outline those: academic, administration, research, business and industry, test management, and grading. Having worked with 4 different colleges as department chair in the United States and currently leads an organizational leadership program dubbed Test Center Manager and Data Recognition Corporation. He worked here in Ghana years back with a German technical corporation in Ghana as a consultant and a radio super morning show host at Eastern FM here in Koforidua, Ghana. He is also the author of Party Followership and Political Leadership in Africa, and Leadership is Concept Heavy, a case against fragmented theories in evolutionary and contemporary leadership. Quite a lot of words there, and I think he will exhibit that as he speaks to us. Prof. Enoch Opoku-Antwi is a family man. He is a Seventh-day Adventist and currently based in the US. He landed not long ago, some few days, about 1 week ago. Tomorrow will be a week, and I'm privileged to introduce him to you. He is a family man with 3 kids. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have Prof. Enoch Opoku-Antwi. Prof, your audience, your prof.
Thank you very much, Pastor Sabri. And the person who introduced me, I think I'm baffled by the way they introduced me. I want to invite all of you to this platform as we do our leadership training for the first day. Tomorrow we'll continue, and then we end on Sunday. Happy Sabbath to everybody on this platform, and I hope that you're getting ready for the Sabbath tomorrow. One thing I also want to say is that who I am is not as important as who you are. So let's all enjoy this training. I'm going to share my screen, and let me go to Can everybody see what is on the screen? My PowerPoint?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. So let me go back to Zoom again. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen. Can you see it now? Please.
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we.
So I'm going to talk about personal and private leadership. And the question is, do we have personal or private leadership? Let's see what we have here. I gave a synopsis of the AMC and what we stand for and what we're going to do today, and the impression I had with this organization, which is really important to me. So let's see, how will you define leadership to the ordinary individual in the streets? And will you define leadership as influence or strategy or stewardship or service or command or contract or covenant? So the floor is open now. Which one of these words do you think defines leadership? Is it influence, strategy, stewardship, service, command, contract, or covenant? You can also leave a comment at the comment section for me. So I'm looking at the chart. Yes, influence. Yes, I've seen 2 influences. All right. So yes, one word that defines leadership is influence. I'm perfectly in tune with all of you. And somebody said all of them, stewardship and service. Yes, great. So when we talk about stewardship, 4 things that comes to mind: stewardship with yourself, stewardship with your neighbor, stewards with God, the creator, and then being a steward with the resources. Somebody said everything. Okay. So yes, it seems to me that you all know a lot about leadership. But if there's any one word that we use to define leadership, it is influence. So let's see. Leadership is like spirituality. It is never personal or private. It is public. But the good news is that we have some components of leadership that are really, I just wanted to move this. I have the list of everybody here on the PowerPoint, so I think some of you might not be able to see it well. All right, let me put this one. So leadership is like spirituality. It is never personal or private. It is public. But there are personal components of leadership. And these ideas lead us to understand what leadership is all about. So let's see a couple of things about why leadership is personal. Our fears are personal. Some things that we are afraid of. If I give you the opportunity to tell me what you are afraid of, one thing that I do in most of my master's program classes is that I cut pieces of papers in the first day and I give it to my student and I ask them to write one thing that they are afraid of and then fold it. And then through what you are afraid of, you tell a story from that. And you can tell that many people are afraid of many things. Some people are even afraid of shaking hands with other people. And one of such person is Donald Trump. He is afraid of shaking hands with people. People have their fears. Some people are afraid of snails. Some people are afraid of snakes. Some people are afraid of spiders. So we are all afraid of something. And those things that we are afraid of, either fear of failure or the unknown, is private. Then individual characteristics and our life experiences, some are private. We cannot tell people sometimes what we're going through. Then we also have our beliefs and attitudes and intentions and needs and values and personal traits. These are all private issues. Then there's something called DICE, your duration, integrity, consistency, and effort. These are personal issues. And then your personal action plan, which consists of your current skills, the skills to work on, your goals, resources, and an action plan. These are also personal for you. And then judgments fly, decisions are made. So when you are making judgments, it's personal. Decisions, when they are being made, is also personal. Now, in statistics, there are a lot of challenges in statistics when we are trying to find solutions to most things, because we are not looking for things that are most correct, but the least wrong. So we'll talk a little bit about ambiguity, and when we use statistical methods and approaches, and data themselves could be ambiguous, which could lead to a false information. So let's see, uncertainty is also one of the issues that could lead to personal things. So let's start strong, because that is your best strategy to success. And it is up to you to start your leadership strong and then finish strong. So watch out for ongoing communication. That is number one thing of being a personal leadership. There are 2 ways of communicating with each individual, and your communication is an absolute must to be a successful leader. So self-talk is one aspect of personal or private leadership. Let's go back to the basics. When we were children, do you see that children talk to themselves a lot? Yes. Self-talk is one of the aspects of personal leadership. So sometimes you need to talk to yourself. You can motivate yourself. You can say a lot of positive things to your life. Those self-talks really help. I've seen our brothers in the charismatic churches who will just go to the washroom and then start praying in tongues, because some things are bothering them and they think that they can vent on God. It helps them, because that kind of self-talk really helps you to have a private conversation with your creator. Rituals are also a sort of personal or private leadership. So think about rituals that we do in our families, there's one ritual that I do in my family. Every Sunday, Saturday evening at 8 p.m., we meet and then we talk about a whole week, whatever happened. So the kids will talk about their lives, what went wrong, what went on well, and then what they expect from their parents and what parents also expect from their children. Those rituals are all private issues. And then concentration on skills. So you have to concentrate on your skills, because even in the United States, we cannot predict with preferential accuracy where the next jobs are going to be. So always make sure that you are honing into your skills. You are learning new skills. Don't think about a job though, but think about your skills, because once you have the skills, it permeates through a lot of jobs. So IT is there. And when we talk about information technology, 5 things come to play: the software, the hardware, data processing, and the people. And then artificial intelligence and all that. Recently, I published an article about artificial intelligence. That's going to be the future of business. So let's watch out for that. Now, in leadership, as in business, we have competitors or rivals. So yes, personally, you also have a competitor, because every job you apply for, there are other people who equally qualify and they've applied for the same job. So why do businesses fail? Well, just look at the pattern of why businesses fail. In the same way, individuals fail in life and in leadership. And when leaders fail in life and leadership, look at the pattern. What did they do right and what did they do wrong? Now, success comes from creating value. In most of my classrooms and my travels to do leadership trainings, when you talk about value, people assume it's money. No, if value is only money, then the poor who are very sensitive to price changes, remember that if price of gas or petrol is about 10 pesos cheaper at a certain place, some people would drive about 5 miles to go and buy that one, because poor people are very sensitive to price changes. So if value is just money, then we're going to cut almost half of all business strategies, because it's not about money, but quality service is also part of value that we bring to the table. So how do we find personal and private issues? It all relies on the questions, because highly successful people share a variety of skills and knowledge in common. And what is personal must be made public to create value for society. So that is my point here. If you don't remember anything, remember that what is personal must be made public to create value for society. Now, a couple of things you need to think about if you want to hone into your personal leadership. It begins with some models. The first one is your growth mindset. Some people have static mindsets. And if you don't have that kind of growth mindset, which means that yes, you can increase your intelligence and master difficult material and succeed when you work hard and practice consistency, until some people realize that, then it's going to be difficult for them to be successful in their private life. Now, without private gain, you cannot gain public success. So privately, you must gain the skills and the knowledge and everything before publicly you can exhibit those. So just like you are going to the gym, every day you are building your bones, and neuro strategies and science has shown that when you go through difficult tasks, eventually you become good at that. So those things which you reflect a lot, eventually it becomes automatic to you. And that is how personal leadership works. There's a guy called Carol Dweck that I met in Ohio some time ago. He's a master of growth mindset concept. And he used an analogy of the tortoise and the hare to illustrate growth mindset. He shows that, even though the tortoise is slow and steady, the effort of, consistency wins the tortoise a race instead of the other animal, which is hare, that is really fast. So when we talk about growth mindset, it means that learn from every situation that you find yourself. The other one is locus of control. Most people believe that some things that happen to them are coming from other sources, it's not them. We live in Africa where many people attribute a lot of things to superstition. This is happening to me because of witches and that. There was one day I asked this woman that she said witches are really hunting her. And I asked her, have you seen a witch who has eaten the meat the night before and then during the day they are using some toothpaste to take the meat from their teeth? And she laughed for about 2 minutes. Well, she said, I've never seen that before, because they don't chew our meat physically, but it's spiritually. Well, if you want to focus more on superstition, then you have an external locus of control. The most appropriate one, as we all know, is that once you have internal locus of control, you take responsibility for your own actions. And that is important in personal growth as a leader. Then watch your time management. Yes, very important. Stephen Covey, who I've also met in many leadership training, he's an expert in leadership, talks about this. He said, things that matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. So you have to prioritize, which is really important. Those of you who have done business management, you know 4 things are the pillars of business management: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So you need to plan, you need to organize yourself, you need to know how to lead yourself, and then you need to know how to control your life to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So I want you to do this learning activity because this is leadership training. Please list 3 things you want to put first in your work and personal life that you are going to prioritize after this training. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. List 3 things you want to put first in your work and personal life. I will need 2 people to share this. 3 things that you think you need to put first in your work and personal life. And from today, you are going to prioritize them. Do you have any person who want to share? I will look at the chat. And if somebody want to talk, yes, please feel free to do so. Self-talk, okay. Self-talk rituals, yes. Any other person? 3 things that you want to prioritize. Please keep writing because I'm going to read them. Now, as you keep doing that, let's look at this. Are you satisfied with the way you spend your time? So normally when I teach time management, if you go to my YouTube, I have a whole 20 minutes video about time management. I've talked about 4 quadrants or pain, where we need to prioritize where is a quadrant of waste, phone calls, surfing on the phone, social media, watching TV, all these things. In fact, if you are watching TV, it's just like you are looking at the wall. You are not learning many things. So those are the areas that I want you to look at. So continue listening to the 3 things. I'll come back to read from the chat. But I have given a tip here that the great first step to managing your time, once you have a goal set, is to get organized. So organization is really important in prioritizing whatever you want to do. Now let's look at expectations and feedback, which is one of the areas that you have to also use for personal leadership. So when we talk about feedback, it's a tool that you can use to help you get better. So yes, in fact, in Africa, I've been told many times that people criticize unnecessarily. It's not constructive, and people criticize to destroy you. Yes, but some criticism are also really good to help you. So I've put here that if you are seeing from the idea of growth mindset and locus of control, that to be successful, you need to know that you can get better. And how do you know that you can get better? By some people criticizing you. I know of a man who worked with Bank of Ghana recently, and he retired. He said that he was teaching. He had been teaching in high school for about 10, 15 years. And then somebody said that, well, you did business management, business administration at Lagos, so why are you teaching? And the person said it in a very sarcastic way. And we all know that it's not everybody who plays well to sarcasm. So he felt offended. And from that time, he decided to look for a job. And he landed at the Bank of Ghana and became their HR director. So sometimes, criticism, even though it might be negative, it could help you to move from your comfort zone because there's no growth in your comfort zone. If you become comfortable where you are, it means you are not growing. So think about that. I've given you some 5 tips to learn from feedback as a student or your personal life. So I'll give the PowerPoint to Pastor Sabri and then he will share that with you. So I have 5 tips there. Let's move on to some good leadership characteristics. If I ask you to tell me about any traits you think that a good leader exhibits, I know all of you will be able to tell me something. Even those who have never been to school can tell a good leader from a bad leader. But I can also tell you from research that leadership really is even in the animal kingdom. When you go to the bee world, those bees that makes honey for us, the best dancer among the bees is their leader. The elephants, they have their leader. The ants, when they are moving, they have their leader. So even in the animal kingdom, God has set up leadership for them. And that is why in our world, we also need good leaders. So I've listed a couple of leadership traits here: honesty, communication, confidence, positive attitude, ability to delegate, sense of humor, commitment, and then creativity. Do you know that even God have a sense of humor? Yes. I saw a lot of research about what women even look for a man that they love. And the first word that women look for is a man with a sense of humor. They like men who are jovial, who can make them happy. So let's learn from that. Sense of humor really helps, but know how to play your game, especially it's not everybody, like I said, who plays well to sarcasm or, sense of humor. So we have a cultural dwarfism. That's a problem. Culture really eats strategy for breakfast. And because some of our cultures are dwarfing some of the things that we need to think about, I've put here that you have to know your strengths and weaknesses. One thing that we do in a master's program in America is that we ask students to give us 10 names of their warm market. Warm market means people who are close to you. So your friends, your mom, your dad, and then we secretly send emails to them. Can you tell us what you know about this person? And you'll be surprised what we hear. They say a whole lot of things. And sometimes there are a lot of things they cannot tell you face to face, but then they will tell us. And then we use that to design a plan for your own personal growth. So yes, you need to know your strength and your weakness. If you want to be a good leader, know what you can handle and what you cannot handle. Know when to cry and then when to smile. So we have this training exercise. There's 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses that you have noticed in your entire life. So that is also another exercise I want you to do. Just list 3 things that you think are your strengths, and then 3 things that you think are your weaknesses, and see how you can improve on your weaknesses to turn it into a strength. So that is an assignment that I want you to do. And before we end, I want somebody to share that with me. We have some of these other skills that you need to be an effective leader. And the first one is verbal communication. In this 21st century, if you cannot read well and write well, you are handicapped. So when we talk about verbal communication, I'm talking about including listening and then self-awareness. You need to be self-aware of whatever situation you find yourself. That is a key component of leadership. And how to manage your time and stress. Yes, the CEO of, let's say, Procter & Gamble or General Electric receive not less than 500 emails every morning. So if you are a CEO and you are receiving not less than 500 emails every morning, and you even respond, yes, I've seen it. Okay, just that it's not going to take you less than 3 hours to respond to all the emails because some of them need details. And we have tons of information overload in these days. So look at how you can balance your life, managing time and then your stress. Team building is really key in personal leadership because I'll talk about Michael Jordan very soon. He said that there's no I in a team, but sometimes it takes an I to win a game. So we'll talk about that. And then we need to be creative in making decisions and then managing conflict. Recently, research from the Pew study has shown that managers, I'm talking about Fortune 500 companies in the world, spend 40% of their time managing conflict. People don't get along at the workplace. And nobody knows why. That people just don't get along. And then you need to motivate and then influence other people. The other thing of building self-leadership is, be a community partner. So in the US alone, we have $14.5 billion. That is, if you quantify voluntary hours people use to help the community. Yes, US people volunteer a lot. A lot of people volunteer their time in community service, helping the homeless, helping the poor, helping the needy, everything that they can use, cutting grass for the assembly. People use their time to volunteer to help. And when we quantify that into monetary terms, every year is around $14.5 billion. So let's begin to be a community partner. If you want to grow as a personal leader, what can I do to make my environment different or change my world? So in Africa, they charge money for everything. People want to charge money for everything. Volunteerism is not part of our culture now. But do you know that in 1957, when we had independence, Nkrumah set up one day every week so that everybody would do community work. These days, nobody wants to do community work. Our gardens are choked. There's food everywhere. Mosquitoes are killing us. Nobody wants to volunteer their time to help ourselves. Well, the other thing is that no two community partnerships are exactly alike. So your community will be different from other communities. So look at the need of your community and see how you can help and change that situation. Now we become community by moving from I to we. I've already quoted Michael Jordan. So I'm moving on to community service and learning, which invites you to bring who you are and what you know and what you can do into your work. So ask yourself, who am I? What do I know? And what can I do to bring that to change my world? So that is very important. And in each of these things that we do, let's tell a story of who we are, what we know about a community, and then the service we can render to those communities. Now, the question here is, in what ways have you experienced belonging in your community? Some people don't belong to their community. They stay there, but nobody sees them. They go to work, come home, sleep the next day, and then they are gone. The community don't even see their meetings, they don't attend. They are not part of the community. And I don't think that is good in building personal leadership. So are there communities to which you could belong? Think about that. Recently, there's a theory in America called the third place. The third place is where people meet to socialize. Some people meet for, at the sport. We have book clubs, we have wine clubs, we have coffee clubs where people meet, drink coffee, and then share ideas. We have book clubs, they share books. And then this week, we're going to read this book, and everybody buys a book and then they read. They call it the third place. So let's think about third places where we can gather communities, people around and say, this week, this is what we're going to do. Next week, this is what we're going to do. That is the way we build community in a very positive way. The other question is that how do we identify a group action for the common good of our communities? So let's look at how we can all become ambassadors of goodness in our community. I'll finish very soon and then I'll take questions. So hypothetically, what would it mean for a predominantly female group to work with a group of predominantly males? So yes, in Africa and other parts of the world, female people, for them to teach the male group, a lot of things is difficult for them. So how do we encourage them so that female group can take issues that bother on only male group, and then male group also taking issues that bother on female group? That is very important. If you post any question, I will look at it and then read it. And then I have here that don't forget, as an individual, you are a change agent. So think about change that you can bring. And in bringing change, you have to be conscious of yourself. You must be aware of your own values, beliefs, attitudes, and emotions. Now, let me pause a little bit here and talk about... Yes, somebody has not muted, and the person, when you talk, it comes in. So please make sure you mute yourself. So the situation here is that there's a word called umbragiousness. I'm just giving you one vocabulary. Umbragiousness is spelled as UNBRAGEOUSNESS. Umbragiousness. It means people who can easily become offended. Now, when we come to beliefs and values and attitudes and emotions, people get offended easily. That is why most people don't argue with religion and everything. When we talk about tomorrow, when we talk about church leadership, I'll talk about the history, where we've come from and where we are now in church leadership. So conflict within the community. How would you handle conflict within the community that you are serving? Now, the first question is, if you are not involved in the community, how do you even get yourself into solving the conflict in there? So make sure you are involved in the community work, and then when there's a conflict, you are part of it. We use a word called congruence, and the congruence means how to think, feel, and behave consistently. How do you think and feel and behave consistently? The only way to do that is to be you, be authentic and honest towards others. So authenticity, which is a whole topic in leadership, is important, congruence in self-leadership. Now, here is where I divide everything for you. When we talk about values of self and group and community, anytime we talk about self-leadership or private leadership, few things come to mind: consciousness of self, congruence that I've explained, which is consistency, and then commitment. So self-leadership have these three anchors: consciousness of yourself, congruence, which is consistency in anything that you do, and then commitment. So you serve from the heart. And then when we come to group, we're talking about collaboration, common purpose, and then conflict mediation. And then community as a whole, we're talking about citizenship. So these are the three demarcations. For individual leadership or self-leadership or private leadership, think about consciousness of yourself, congruence, and then commitment. For group, think about collaboration, common purpose, and conflict mediation. And for community, think about citizenship. I'm almost done. So we have 7 C's in serving our communities. The 7 C's in serving our communities. The first one is consciousness of self. I've explained that one to you. As personal leadership, you need to be conscious of yourself. What can you handle? What can't you handle? Well, we have a situation where, leadership is the only cause that everybody want to be a president. In fact, recently in America and Europe, I was in University of Coventry late last year, and we're talking about this. I think we should set up the bar high. Anybody who wants to contest in public leadership to be a president, there should be a leadership mark for that person. So consciousness of self, which is awareness of your own beliefs, values, and attitudes, is important in private or personal leadership. Some people are not even aware they cannot handle some position. Well, some people even talk about politics without not even understanding inflation and how all these things work, but they talk about it. Then congruence, I've also talked about that. Think, feel consistently with authenticity. Then the third C is commitment, psychic energy that motivates you to serve, and then collaboration, working with others in common effort, and then common purpose for shared aims, values in collaborative work. And then I have here the other C, controversy with civility. It means that you have to recognize differences in viewpoints. We don't reason the same. In fact, my opinion on this platform now is 1 out of 46 people who are listening to me right now. Because I'm just one person out of 46. Our opinions differ. If we are all thinking the same, then none of us is thinking. Then citizenship, which is the last C, means that you are a citizen learner in service learning and must connect with your community in collaboration with others. We are all citizens of this earth, and don't just work and go home. Make sure you contribute something to help your community. Now think about this. Consider ways that you have helped or fixed rather than saved. So ask yourself, how have I helped my community? How have I fixed a problem? And how have I served? When you reflect on these differentiations, investigate the potential impact that you can have on people. That is, if I'm not doing it, what can I do now to help the situation? I'm doing it, how can I do it better so that everybody will enjoy life? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes what I have to share. Now the floor is open for questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for such an insight. Such an insightful presentation. As you said, the floor is open. If there are any questions, any thoughts or clarification, and please show a raise in the chat box of hand, and please go ahead with your question or suggestion. So yes, we have someone.
In the last 24 hours. And the people you wait for champion game freedom. And the next people here.
Can you show a hand in the chat box
Obviously, all the late comebacks we've had over the season, all the wins we've got. If Real Madrid's lost 4 games in the Champions League, then we've lost all season.
Please, we're getting some feedback from somebody. Can you mute yourself? If you're not talking, please mute yourself so that we can all enjoy this. As somebody who is listening to Real Madrid game and is coming, so please watch your TV.
Thank you. I've done so.
Yes, kindly mute for us.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I have here somebody talk about spiritual growth, professional development, family, and friends as their 3 strengths. Yes, spiritual growth is very important. We are all connected to our spiritual world. And I have my students who write a lot of research about spirituality. And although I've said that spirituality is not private, it is public, when you are very spiritual, exhibit that in public because you cannot hide your beliefs and ideals. So that's important. Professional development is really important. Most organizations are paying for professional development. You need to do some courses to update yourself, which is very important because knowledge keeps updating itself every day. Every day, we'll never stop learning. Once you commit yourself to learning, you are hooked to it for the rest of your life. So that is important. And then family and friends. Tomorrow, when we talk about church leadership, I'll give you some 13 tips about life, and which is going to be very important. Family and friends are one of them as gifts that we have on this planet that I will talk about tomorrow. So tomorrow, don't miss that about church leadership, which is really a very thorny topic. Somebody said great lessons. What are the standards or tools for measuring one's strengths and weaknesses? We have a Strength Finder 2.0. Gallup have a Strength Finder 2.0. Online, it's about $12. So you convert it to cities. It's 800 questions. 800 questions. That's what we're using to teach CEOs in America now. So 800 questions. There are no right or wrong answers. It asks you any question. You have 20 seconds to answer. Agree, disagree. And once you finish, it's going to give you your best 5 strengths. Now, you will know your strength on this world. According to Gallup, who have done this research for about 50 years, we all came to this planet with 34 major strengths that God gave to us, but 5 are dominant. So now what we do in America is that, and in Europe, that I'm also consulting, is that once you identify, you do the Strength Finder 2.0 software, and then you identify your 5 strengths. We use that to train you to hone into your strength. And you put also that on your CV because they are looking for that. My number 1 is ideation. My number 1 strength is ideation. So in America, if any organization is looking for new ideas, they look for people like me. Some people are woos. Woos are friendly people, highly extroverted people. And those, when you need somebody who is an affable person to be your vice president, they are looking for woos, people who are very friendly. So yes, they are looking for these strengths in hiring in Europe and America now, North America especially. So check out for that, Strength Finder 2.0 on Amazon or anywhere, and then you will see it. You can buy the key and then take the assessment.
All right, thank you, Prof. We have a hand, Mr. Okukudakon. You can please go on with your question.
Okukudakon, you have to unmute yourself, yes.
Yeah, hello, good evening, Doc. Thank you very much for the insightful message so far. My question will be on the strength. It looks as if I wouldn't know it, but I realize that it's cut across in terms of category. For instance, when it comes to something I can do at work, because at work, corporate policy is there for me to measure or act within certain range. Even if an underling go wrong, as a superior, you know how to handle it. But maybe at home and maybe at church too, you realize that you cannot term the same thing. So sometimes something you think is your strength, you can control this, or you have upper hand in this. When it comes to another facet of your life, you sort of cannot make it out or all around that, okay, this is my strength. That's where my challenge lies. But looks as if you said we should take the assessment. That's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
So if you can help
take the assessment,
Strength
Finder 2.0 by Gallup, and then see your strength, because some are hidden. Sometimes the results really surprises you. So I have ideation. My second one is responsibility. So if you're looking for somebody with new responsibility in the organization, we look for somebody like that. So you'll find your best 5 strengths. But our weaknesses is something that nobody has asked. Yes, we know things that we cannot handle. When I talk about personal leadership, I said that know what you can handle and know what you cannot handle. Sometimes when you need to cry, you need to cry. But there are some jobs, you look at the job responsibilities and you know you cannot handle, don't go for it. 2 things that I tell people: if you are looking for a job, don't look for a job that they think you are a fit for them. Think about, are they also a fit for me? For some jobs that you are doing, let's say you don't drink alcohol, and then you're a manager of Guinness company. I mean, how does that work? So think about a job that is a fit for you and you are also a fit for them. And then if you apply for a job, I've had some students who tell me that, Prof, we applied for this job and I've applied for about 10, 15, 20 jobs and I've not had a call. And I also tell them, I think about this way, that they have not hired you because they don't deserve your talent. You see, you know your value, you know what you bring to the table. They have not hired you yet because they don't deserve your talent. The organization that deserves your talent will hire you one day. So you can turn negative things into positive. That's growth mindset in your mind. Yes, I've not been hired yet, but those who really want to hire me have not, they have not discovered my talent yet. So those who require that talent, or those who will really be lucky to get my talent, when they get it, they will know. Now, when you do that, then it means that you know how to turn negative things into positive things. So there's a story, I have this from Dr. Tara Felf-Jones, who was my mate in a doctoral program. She's also a professor in the US. She's listening. Tara, thank you for joining us all the way from the United States.
I'm glad to be here.
So do I have any questions? Yes, please type your questions, or if you have, you can raise up your hand. I will see you and then we'll call you and then answer your question.
Yeah, so Prof, a question is put in the chat box. How do we grow mindset? Because that's the first point you raised.
Yes, the first thing to have a growth mindset is that you have to be open-minded. Remember, I said that my opinion is one out of the many on this platform. Yes, I have the platform speaking now, but this is the time for you to also voice out what you think. And then we can always agree to disagree agreeably. So it is important that you grow from learning from others. You can get a mentor. So if you don't have a mentor yet, look for a mentor, somebody to mentor you. I've been working with the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, and I've mentored already 50 individuals all over Africa. They have a program to mentor leaders in Africa who are all doing their masters. Some at Lagos, some at University of South Africa, some at Tanzania. And these 50 students for the past 3 years, I've mentored them and they are doing great. So if you don't have a mentor, look for a mentor, somebody with great insight and leadership and have led exemplary life who can guide you. Sometimes they will give you questions. What do you think about this? So look for a mentor. It helps you. Read books, inspirational books and books from great authors. Those are the way that you broaden your mind. Professional development is also one of the ways you can have a mindset. And one thing is clear, if you open up your mind, that brains in your head will never fall. So be open-minded and collaborative with everybody you meet, because we don't know it all. Confucius lived 500 years before Christ, and he said that it is wise he who knows the limit of his ignorance. So when somebody tells you you are ignorant, that is not an insult. We are all ignorant about something. Yes, I am a leadership professor, but I might be ignorant about geography. Somebody's a geography professor, but might be ignorant about, let's say, physics. So we don't know it all. And once you make the conscious effort to learn something new, it helps you. In fact, psychologists will tell you that sometimes if you are left-handed like me, where everything is left, you try to brush your teeth with the right hand and see how it works. It's a way of learning. If you are right-handed, you'll be using your right hand to brush your teeth every day. Try the left hand one and see. You need to learn new things every day. That is how your brain grows. In America, one thing that the elderly homes are doing is that the older folks are allowed to read at least 15 minutes every night before they sleep. So try that as a ritual. Before you sleep, either your Bible or any book, fiction or any book, read it 15 minutes. The demon sleep will touch you, but before you sleep, you have learned something. So if you cannot sleep, pick up a book. If you are sleeping 15 minutes before you sleep, pick up a book and read it and see. It opens up your mind. And those people who have been reading 15 minutes before they sleep, neurologists have said that they don't suffer dementia when they are old. So somebody's 86, 90 years, and they still remember a lot of things because they've been reading. That's growth mindset.
Open-mindedness. Thank you, Prof. Yes. So before Michael comes in, I would want to ask, in assessing the strengths and weaknesses, in the quest to know yourself and in the quest to want to be a leader, how do you compensate for the weakness? How do you compensate for some of the weakness you see in yourself, which is not easy to accept, especially with leadership in Africa? You realize that each leader would want to assume that he is on top of issues. He is strong. He can do it all. So how do you really compensate for such weaknesses, such that it does not in the end affect the leadership role you are playing?
Thank you. I think the word that you use is very interesting. In fact, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. So when you talk about compensation, a lot of things are running through my mind. How do you compensate for that? Is it in monetary terms or is it in value terms? But one thing is clear. Most people do not accept their weaknesses. In fact, most of the private things of individual leaders is their weaknesses. They want to hide it. But what you don't want other people to know about you is also part of you. That is why some individuals define culture as when you do in your privacy when nobody's watching you. So yes, it's difficult to admit that you are wrong, but that is where your weaknesses are. And most people want to cover their weaknesses because they think that in the public eye, it will make them seem to be a weak leader. Yes, if you go to the Arab world, you cannot show weakness as a leader because the culture there expects a leader who behave in that way. Even in America, there's a study that have shown that women, before they apply for a job, 79% of women, before they apply for a job, want to make sure that they are 100% qualified for that job. But do you know what? 50% of men apply for a job when they are half qualified for it. So look at the boldness. You know, in men applying for any job, you are half qualified for it, but they will apply. But females want to make sure that they meet all the criteria for that job description. So yes, do you admit that you have a weakness? That's the first step. Once you admit that you have a weakness, then we are in the process of helping you to overcome that kind of weaknesses. So our weaknesses are different. Yes, your weakness could be different. My weakness could be different. I had two brothers that I know, cousins, who are always complaining. One is a womanizer, one is a drunkard. The other one blames, oh, well, I don't drink. So, but you don't drink, but you're a womanizer. And then the other one says, that, well, so you are this. Everybody thinks that their weakness is okay, but they are blaming the other two. So yes, in the world of psychology, we don't condemn our own self. But for you to know your weaknesses, you need to admit that this is what I cannot handle. Some people's weaknesses are anger. Some people's weaknesses are gossips. Well, the gospel of gossips, boy, some people really gossip. They can sit on the phone and talk for about 1 hour, 2 hours. You know, and talk about other people. And sometimes I tell them that before you talk, Michael, your hand is up. Before you talk about other people, why don't you pick up a book and write your own memoir so that one day we'll know what you did on this planet instead of talking about others. Michael, you have the floor. Please unmute yourself. Somebody is asking whether there will be 3 local dialects for that. I am not sure. The organizers of this leadership training did not include, because we have international individuals like Dr. Tara Phelps-Jones, a lot of people from US who are also with us, and they don't understand any local dialect. So let's do it for English now. Maybe one day they will arrange for the P version or the other language version, then we can do that. Michael, your hand is up. Please unmute yourself, Michael Saki. Please unmute yourself and then speak.
All right.
Hello?
If Michael is not ready, are there more questions for us for Prof to address?
Yes, I wanted you to share your 3 strengths with me. Some of you, you know, because we have some assignment to do for this training. Yes, I've seen some people, God, health, family. Sorry, time of God, health, personal development. Yeah, so a lot of strength that I've seen here. Family, God, pursue my purpose, family, okay. God, so God first in many of our ways. That's really good. God, work, job, family, and friends, spiritual growth, professional development, good lessons. Yeah, so if you have enjoyed this lesson, so I have a question for all my, the entire group that we have here. Now we have 50 people on board.
Prof.
Yes.
Sorry, my network went off my question. I have two questions. First has to do with the community service. You said, if I heard you right, one has to be part of the community or within the society in order to be able to fix the issues therein. I wanted to find out whether is that the case all the time? And if that is not the case, how can one also be outside in quotation mark, and be able to face issues within the community? Two, sometimes about our weaknesses, you also realize at what level, you also realize that sometimes what you deem as your weakness is someone, the level at your weakness is someone's also strength. So you ask yourself, I am worse at this, but that is the person's best. How at what level do we, or at what level or optimal level do we say, yes, this is my weakness, no matter what the others' strengths around? I don't know whether I'm putting my question right.
I understand your question very well. It's a smart question, but you need to be smart to be able to answer that question. First, community service from within. If you don't become part of the community, how will you know their problems? And that is why we recommend that you really do what anthropologists do. They submerge themselves into the culture and then learn about their food, their how they wear dresses, their songs and everything. That is how you can become part of that community. So community service without being part, let's say you have money, you just give money. That is not what you have to do. In fact, there's a difference between somebody who supports an idea and somebody who's an activist. An activist, according to Ross Parrott, is the one who rolls his or her sleeves and cleans the water when it's dirty. So you have to be an activist if you want to do community work. Roll your sleeves, get yourself dirty with the people. That is how we solve community problems. But if you are solving the problem without not being part of it, and you think that, well, you can do it from outside, you might not get the result that you want. It's just like building a house and some people are building it for you. Yes, you are paying the money, but if you don't go there and supervise every day to make sure that the kitchen, the bathroom is made the way you want it, at the end of the project, you might not like your building, even though you pay for it. You need to be there and supervise. So in the same way in community work, be part of the process so that when the job is done, you'll be satisfied with what you've done. The other one you talked about is the weaknesses. I think that you are indulging yourself in self-deceit. If you think that you drink, let's say, 2 bottles of beer, so you're better than somebody who drink 10. Well, people also have their limit. So there's somebody who can drink 10 and will not get drunk, but somebody will drink 2 and then will get drunk. So when you talk about your weakness could be somebody's strength, that is self-deceit. Because you, like I said, community work are different. We cannot be 2 people and the same. We are all unique individuals on this planet. In fact, studies have shown that whatever you can do, I cannot do it. We all came to this world with different talents. Like I said, 34 talents that the Creator gave to everybody, according to Gallup, who have done this research for over 50 years. Everybody came to this planet with unique 34 talents, but 5 are dominant. So once you look for your dominant strength, you hone in on your strength. Now, talking about weakness, you know, there's some psychological trick here. There's a reason why all of you are hitting on the weakness instead of the strength. Why? Because bad news is news. We have found from studies that if you do a test and you get an F in that test, and then you do another test and you get an A, most people concentrate on the F paper. They look at it more than the A. They are worried about the F. So the F is news, the A is not news to them. Why? We pay attention more to negative things than positive things. And that shouldn't be the case. You know, and that is why Coda 8 steps of change. One of the things you do is that you celebrate small gains. You celebrate small gains. So yes, if you were drinking and now you stop for a day or two, you celebrate that because you've been able to stop a habit that could kill you. So yes, if you compare yourself to somebody that my weakness is better than somebody's strength, then you are threading towards the danger zone. Before you know, imperception would have taken you to where you don't want to be. So let's be careful about that.
Thank you very much, bro. Yes, the session has been very insightful and very practical. We have shared forms, Google Forms in the chat box. Participants are kindly entreated to just take some few seconds and fill it up. All right. Yes, we have some 20 minutes more. So if there are more questions, we would like to have them so Prof can respond to them.
Please ask questions, because that is important. When consultants do leadership training like this, within 2 hours, they charge $20,000, some $30,000. This is free for you. This is free for you. So you ask questions. Knowledge is very expensive, very, very expensive in the advanced world. People don't joke with knowledge because we're always thinking about the next big idea. On our part of the world, people are thinking about money. Money is not important in the advanced world. It is the ideas that they look for. Because the shirt you are wearing was the idea first. The house was the plan first. The car was the ideas first. Everything is the ideas. And once you have the ideas, then the money will follow. So let's share ideas. Please, if you have any questions, ask them. One thing I've also found is that, and studies have proved this, let's go back to the basic when we were children. When we were children, we asked a lot of questions. Mom, why this, that, why this? And when we grow up, we don't ask questions anymore. But when we have grown up and we know a lot and we have a lot of questions, why don't we ask questions? Because we think people ridicule at us. No. Make sure you ask questions. Things bothering your mind, ask them, because you never know how the answers are going to help change your life. Sometimes it could be one word. One word.
Yeah,
Hello,
Prof.
Prof.
Hand is up. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for the presentation. My question has to do with the strengths and weaknesses. I would want to find out, is it possible for someone to determine my weaknesses, where I also see that as what helps me to achieve my goals? In that case, can someone see that as my weakness, though it is helping me to achieve my goals? I'll be glad if you could speak to this for me. Thank you.
Yes, the simple answer is yes. The short-term answer is yes. The medium-term answer is yes. The long-term answer is yes. People who are close to you knows your strength and then they know your weaknesses. You also know, just that sometimes you don't want to admit that it's a weakness.
So, Prof, in line with where that is what helps me to achieve my goal, how do we consider that? Can I also consider it as my strength? Because that is, when I do that, it helps me to get to my destination. It helps me to get to my goal that I've set for myself. So how do we now reconcile the two? Hello.
Yes, hello. You went off a while.
Oh, okay. I see. It seems nothing is going on.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, okay. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Doc.
Unfortunately, we've lost Prof. We've lost Prof. So kindly bear with us as he reconnects. But in the meantime, let us discuss. What have we gleaned this evening? What are the highlights and the high points we have gleaned this evening as Prof reconnect? Let's kindly share them. Anyone to set the ball rolling?
Doc, my take is about the internal locus of control, where Prof explained that if we believe that things that happen to us, we are the reason or we are the probable cause of things that happen to us, we will try and find reasons or exploit more ways of solving those things than to assume that there is external force that is causing whatever mishaps that may be happening to us. So I just pick it that I need to assess myself and find out or have that internal locus of control where I assume fully the responsibility of things that are not going well with me, my weaknesses, and that will help me to know that I can surmount all the challenges. But where I think that those things are external, they are powers, they are from Satan, and I don't have the power to defend, to fight Satan unless I rely on God, it means that I may not be able to overcome some of these things. So I pick the internal locus of control as a serious thing, that knowing that if we assume that things that happen to us, we are the probable cause, we will be able to find solutions to them.
That's great. That's very great. A great lesson there. So in the internal locus of control. But then as we are discussing, are there some issues that are also external, which although yes, maybe something not from within but without, and which we may not have control over? I think
yes.
Dr. Tara, yes, and others here can help us as we discuss this. Are there issues that from all points and from all angles are external rather than internal? And how do we deal with this when it is not really a problem from within but from without?
Yes, I'm back. I really apologize.
Is that problem?
My internet and the electricity went off. You know, I'm home, and this is a baptism of fire.
Oh, Prof, you are in Ghana.
All right, Prof.
Welcome to Ghana.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please.
All right, one of the points I got from the presentation is to consider or take note of people's comments whenever you are leading or when you want to be a leader. And I want to find out, sometimes it's a bit challenging if you don't have that resilience to be able to take negative comment and be able to move on. How do you balance this? Because, you know, you are in an environment that a lot of, some people just want to always give negative comments. So it takes a lot of energy from you when you are pushing forward. So how do you balance this? If you don't, how do you build the resilience to be able to be taking this comment? So you may be, you may get to a point that you think like, well, this person always gives me negative comment. I don't want to hear him I don't want to listen to that person so that it takes too much energy from me. I want to just focus on what I'm doing. How do you balance this?
Yeah, the balancing act is very interesting. That, you know, when people, if you look at the tips that I gave, I did not talk about that, but we now have time, so we'll talk about that. The first thing that I said is that always consider the comments of others, whether you like them or not. Yes, some comment that people will pass about you might not be what you like, but like I said, what you don't want others to know about you is also part of it. There are some things that are hidden from you. If you look at the Johari window, it talks about things that are hidden from us. So some things that are hidden from us that we don't know, other people might know, but it could be difficult for them to point out. And there's this story about a king who was King Hero of Spain, who really got upset because somebody, a subject, told him that somebody was about to execute, told him that he had a foul mouth, like his mouth stinks, technically. And the king was so angry, so he went to his wife and said that, how come that I've married you for so long and then my mouth stinks and you've not been able to tell me? And you know what the wife told him? She said that, all my life, I've never known any man apart from you. So I thought every man's mouth smells the same. See how wise the wife is? Yeah, so yeah, some criticism, you might not like it, but if you go back and think deep about it, examine yourself and see that maybe, just maybe, it might be true. So the first point I gave you is that always consider the comment of others, whether you like them or not. Consider it and see whether there's truth in it or not. If there's no truth in it, take it with a grain of salt, let it go. If there's truth in it, work on that and fix it. So that's number one. Two, you know, I said that it's about learning material. And, you know, when teachers are teaching, or if you go to the web, they are not going to lower the expectations because of you. No, if you don't lower expectations, please mute yourself if you are on mute, because we are having some feedback. So in school and in life, like all your bosses, they are not going to lower expectations because of you. The standards are the same. So if you don't understand your feedback or expectation, go and ask. So if somebody gives you a feedback that you don't understand, probe further and ask the person. And then I'll give the third point as that it is difficult to learn from constructive feedback if you take offense to it. I gave the word unrighteousness. People are offended by their religion when you talk about that. People are offended by their culture when you talk about that. And once it's become that way, nobody will give you feedback. And you know that when you sit in a room as a leader and nobody's giving you feedback, everybody concur and agree with what you're saying, then you have a problem. I've been to many meetings, board meetings. I've been a board member of many organizations where people go and they all endorse what the CEO is saying. If we all go and agree with the CEO, why did they even organize the meeting in the first place? Because you have nothing to contribute. That culture of silence where nobody wants to talk is dangerous in leadership, because we need divergent views to build organizations. So yes, you have to, don't consider it as an attack, you know, consider it as a way to improve. This is a must. Any feedback is a way for you to improve. We all have, those of us who are teaching America, students are doing evaluation twice per semester, midterm and then the final. Students evaluate you. Your teaching skill, classroom management, you know, content, knowledge, and all those things. They tell you what, and sometimes some of these students are very personal about you. Are you taking a learn from it? That's the only way you become tenured professor. You get a promotion from the promotion and the tenure committee. So yes, nobody likes criticism, but like I said, you can learn a lot from it. So unfortunately, you can give somebody a feedback and then they repeat the same mistake again and again and again. Look, life is not like classroom. Life teaches us the biggest lesson, but life doesn't talk to us. Life will push you around until you learn something. Or when you fall down, you pick something from the ground. Until you do that, life will never stop pushing you around. Yes, so life itself criticizes us. And we should learn from that situation.
Thank you very much, bro. Christopher, your hand has been up for a while. Kindly unmute and go ahead.
Doug, I think Prof couldn't do justice to the other part of my question before he went off. So if he could respond to that, I don't know.
Can you please repeat that question again?
Yes, I was asking of if someone can determine your weaknesses, and I made a follow-up that when you consider what people consider it to be a weakness to be your strength, in that case, how are you going to take it? Will you stick to what you see it as your strength because that is what helps you to achieve your goals? But people see that too as a weakness. So how do you reconcile the two?
Well, in the first place, we need to be clear that a weakness cannot be confused with a strength. But you can turn your weakness into strength. So those should be clear. Now, if you were a drug addict, that's an example. That's your weakness. And now you stop smoking or abusing drugs, you can be an activist, an advocate that drugs is not good because I've been there, I've done it, it did not help me. So yes, that is how you turn a weakness into a strength. But then the weakness is there. And those who have left bad habits, they will tell you that they keep going back to it if you don't become a determined person. So yes, somebody can point it out to you, but think about how you can turn that weakness into a strength. But don't think that that weakness can itself become a strength because you have to take an action plan. You need an action plan to make that weakness a strength. Excuse me. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, Prof.
Thank you.
All right. Christopher, are you there? Can you go ahead with your question? Christopher, we are not hearing you.
Hello? Well, I think we've lost Chris.
All right, Prof. Yep. We have 3 minutes to round up, so you can please give your concluding remarks.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank all the participants for this training. I think that the first important thing of leadership is to know thyself. And that is why we started with knowing thyself, what you can handle and what you cannot handle. So personal leadership is all about self-consciousness and congruence. And then you collaborate with the group and then you build a community. That is our mission on this planet. Once we know ourselves and then we move tomorrow evening onto church leadership, that is a very dicey area that I'll give background about church history, where we've come, all these issues that we are having at the churches, where they came from. And then we end with public leadership. So thank you very much for your listenership and your questions and all the contribution. I really appreciate it. God bless you.
Amen. God bless you, Prof. Thank you very much for your valuable time. As you have said, this would have cost us a lot of dollars if we were engaging you in a more corporate way. But then thank you so much for sharing this depth of knowledge with us for free. And I trust that the Lord will bless you and even expand you. We want to remind participants, a link has been placed in the chat box, a form. Kindly fill them for us. We have only 9 people who have done that. So you can see it in the chat box. Kindly fill it for us so we can get some feedbacks and know the action plan. We are hoping that after this training, we are going to issue certificates to that respect. Yes, and so kindly answer those questionnaires for us and indicate if you would be interested. So thank you very much, Prof. Thank you all for making it to tonight's first day training. We are continuing tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. GMT. Kindly lock it on your agenda and let's meet tomorrow. Thank you all. God bless you and a happy Sabbath.
Complete in thee, no work of mine could take, dear Lord, the place of thine. Thy blood hath pardon bought for me, and I shall stand complete in thee. Yea, justified, O blessed thought, and sanctified, salvation wrought. Thy blood hath pardon bought for me, and glorified I too shall be. Complete in thee, each want supplied, and no good thing to me denied. Since thou my portion, Lord, will be, I ask no more. Complete in thee, yea, justified, O blessed thought, and sanctified, salvation wrought. Thy blood hath pardon bought for me, and glorified I too shall be. Complete in thee, no more shall sin. Thy grace has conquered, reign within. Thy blood shall bid the tempter flee, and I shall stand complete in thee. Yea, justified, O blessed thought, and sanctified, salvation wrought. Thy blood hath pardon bought for me, and glorified I too shall be. Dear Savior, when before thy bar all tribes and tongues assembled are, among the chosen I shall be, at thy right hand, complete in thee. Yea, justified, O blessed thought, and sanctified, salvation wrought. Thy blood hath pardon bought for me, and glorified I too shall be. Thy blood hath pardon bought for me, and glorified I too shall be. In the sweet by and by, and I'm just going to sing the beginning track, the opening voice, and pretend I have a cassette recorder right here. And there is a fountain filled with blood, drawn from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains. The dying thief rejoiced to see that fountain in his day, and there may I, though vile as he, wash all my sins away, wash all my sins away, wash all my sins away, and there may I, though vile as he, wash all my sins away. saved to sin no more. Be saved to sin no more. Oh, be saved to sin no more. When this poor lisping, stammering tongue lies silent in the grave, then in a nobler, sweeter song I'll sing thy power to save. I'll sing thy power to save. I'll sing thy power to save. Then in a nobler, sweeter song I'll sing thy power to save. I'll sing thy power. I'll sing thy power. I'll sing thy power to stand, who will stand in a sea of sin and live for the truth, grow strong from within. Stand, who will stand when all others run, and stand even when there remains not a one. Who will stand? Who will stand? Who will stand when the dark of night descends? Who will stand? Who will stand? Who will stand with resolve that never ends? God is looking for someone who will take the vow. Will you answer now? Will you stand? Will you stand? Will you stand? Will you stand? Will you stand?